What's up, yeah? Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in Sunday Live, 8 Fitness Training. We go live every Sunday, 12 Eastern Time. Thank you for tuning in. Today we're talking about periodization.
Yes.
But first,
updates.
Do we have any?
I don't think we have any updates.
Top Growth Series still rolling. You know, it's January. It's almost the end of January. Holy smokes, where's January go? And we're all bulking. So Top Growth Series is rolling along. If you're bulking, you want to grow, check it out. What else we got?
Yeah, I actually have a lot of clients cutting, and they're getting ready for some shows. So I'm dieting down as well. I lost 2.5 pounds this week. So it was a really good week for me. But yeah, we have at least, I think close to 6 athletes that are starting to cut down for their spring show. So I'm really excited for them.
Kylie's on. What's up, Kylie?
Hey, Kylie.
Yeah. Yeah, Camille's competing in August, y'all. So watch out for this girl.
Yeah, you're going to start to notice the physique changes in the different videos. I did launch a new series this past week. It's called the Hotel Gym Series. I know, yeah, it's a good one. A lot of people travel for work or vacations, and you're kind of stuck working out at the hotel, which has a very limited and specific set of equipment. So if you've ever wondered, like, well, what can I do to still kind of support my hypertrophy goals at the hotel, definitely check out that series. It's a good one.
Yeah, I know we said it real quick and we brushed through it real quick, but Camille's going to dominate in August, y'all.
That's right.
Stay tuned. If you don't think so, stay tuned.
I haven't competed since 2021, y'all. So that's a long time for me to be out there making gains. So I'm excited to kind of see what's underneath all that fluff and go from there.
Yes. Elaine, I hope I'm not messing up your name. From the East Coast of Canada. What's up?
Hey, Elaine.
Thanks
Welcome.
for tuning in.
Yeah, welcome back, everyone, to the 88 Fitness YouTube channel. I'm Camille, if you don't know who we are, and this is James. And our channel focuses on all things hypertrophy. So if you're looking to build muscle, tone up, those kind of things, you know, build that lean muscle mass, we have tons of videos and tips for you guys. Yeah. Today's focus is going to be all on periodization for hypertrophy. And so whether you're struggling to, you know, break through a plateau or you just want to train smarter, you know, I think this session is for you. It'll really resonate.
Yeah, and if you don't know our names, you don't know we're married either. So
yes, unfortunately, I'm stuck with him all the time, y'all. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
It's unfortunate for her. It's very fortunate for me. So
but yeah, so we're kind of here to guide you guys through how to structure your training using periodization and, you know, how to really maximize muscle growth.
Yeah, let's start with what is periodization. You hear it thrown around all the time. You hear this all the time. Periodization. Do you even need periodization, you know?
Yeah, so we'll kind of talk through the definition of periodization. From there, we'll really deep dive. So we'll actually break down the different types of periodization because there's things like linear periodization, undulating, and it can get kind of confusing. So
micro, macro, and meso, it gets a little muddy.
And then we'll give you some examples of how you can structure that into your training cycles for long-term gains and success. And then we'll even talk about some common mistakes that people make when they're trying to put this into their training regimen and track their cycles and their progress.
Yeah, and don't worry about the big words. I'll break it down and keep it simple for you.
I'll nerd it up. So if you're like, please don't keep it simple, nerd it up, I'm your girl. And then James and I are actually going to share kind of our preference, which is more maybe holistic or flexible approach to training, not so rigid. So I think you'll really like that as well. And as always, I see we have several people watching. Even though we have a topic, you can ask us any questions. We welcome them. We'll answer them at any point during this live. So fire them away, please.
You know, we're here, yo. We're here for you. So if you got a question, fire away, please.
And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That way you can, you know, see the videos as they're dropping in real time. And if you're really loving what you see today, definitely drop us some super thanks. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep providing this great content for you guys. So yeah, with that, are you ready to jump into periodization for today?
Let's do it.
All right, so let's start by talking about what is periodization. And so I'm going to give you guys kind of the National Academy of Sports Medicine definition of periodization because I really like that one. That's how both me and James were trained on it. So according to them, periodization is just this systematic approach to training that cycles through different phases. And the idea there is to really optimize your performance, your recovery, as well as your results. And you can kind of think of it as this big overarching roadmap that really helps you to peak at the right times and avoid burnout.
That's a great definition.
So that's why I like the NASM definition because it's a really great definition.
We got Native Grit on.
Hey,
Hey, says hello. Hope all is good with you and the family. I haven't been on a couple weeks dealing with family and health issues.
Oh, sorry to hear that. And Native Grit, we definitely noticed that you were missing. We were looking for you.
And we just went through some family stuff ourselves. So
we did.
We understand, brother.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, I helped my sister move from the West Coast over to the East Coast. And that is quite a journey, right?
Her handicapped sister at that.
Yeah, so.
Yes, so we understand, brother. Hopefully we'll pray for you and you get through it with as few bumps as possible.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Glad to see you back.
Yeah, so definitely, I think one of the biggest challenges with periodization or the benefits is it helps you to avoid plateaus, burnout. So by varying your training intensities and volumes over time, you can really give your body that chance to, you're not giving it that chance to adapt. You're not getting used to the training. You're not getting that stagnation that you would when you do the same program all the time. So the idea is that it helps to keep progressing you over time.
Yeah, 100%. And we got Ricardo on. He said,
Hi.
I enjoy your videos. No nonsense, concise, entertaining. I'm currently following your tips. Keep the advice and knowledge coming. Outstanding, Ricardo. Glad to have you, brother. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, Ricardo, for everyone watching, we are truly no nonsense. Yeah. We hate that, if you're looking for information out there, sometimes it's so impossible. You got to cut through all the influencers, the junk. We try to get straight to the point in our videos and not add in a bunch of fluff. Even in my hotel series, in the second episode, you guys will see Monday, I even tell you, skip ahead if you've already seen the first installment. You don't have to go through that beginning stuff. So
yeah, and I understand influencers and they want to make money and everybody wants to make money on YouTube. But when you give me a 10-minute ad before you get into what you're freaking doing, I get highly upset. So I understand, Ricardo.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, brother.
All right, so let's keep it going on our periodization talk. So there's actually several different types of periodization. And Native Grit, I see your question. What's our thoughts on superset training? And we're actually going to talk about that because that is definitely an interesting technique. And James and I had a very interesting approach probably about 5 to 7 years ago that incorporated that.
Yep. We're going to get to that, and just to answer your question, I love supersets.
Yeah, 88 is definitely known for the supersets. You could almost just replace the 88 with superset SS. All of our clients know. They're if we do one exercise, they're that's it. So yeah, we love supersets, giant sets, drop sets. Yep. We definitely love the intensifying techniques for sure. All right. Types of periodization. So there's 3 main types, y'all. The most common type I think that people are probably most familiar with is linear periodization. So this means that you gradually kind of increase intensity while decreasing volume over time. All right. So gradually increasing intensity while reducing volume.
So you're going up in weight and reducing reps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that would be the first kind. There's also what's called undulating. And so this is where, the intensity and the volume kind of fluctuate a little more frequently. So maybe weekly, maybe even daily versus on the monthly.
Explain that one.
So maybe you have one day that's high volume, lower weight. And then the next day you might have low weight, low volume, high reps or something like that. I'm saying the same thing. Yeah, you guys know what I'm saying. And then there's non-linear periodization, which is probably the most confusing because it's really a mix of phases targeting different goals. So example, like maybe you have strength goals, but then you have hypertrophy goals, and they're all like baked into one program.
Interesting. Angel's on. Angel, what's up? He says, school's in session. I'm here to learn. Teach me how to pump it up. My man. Thanks for tuning in, Angel.
Yeah, get those notebooks out. Take those notes, y'all. So those are the three types of periodization: your linear, your undulating, and your non-linear. But then
it's a whole lot of big words right there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll give you guys some practical examples here in a minute.
Yeah.
But within each of those different types, there's actually different ways to break those cycles down, right? So to really make an effective periodization program, you're going to want to understand that there's three different kinds of cycles. So one, you have to have a really high level big picture, right? Like, what is it that you're working towards?
Your roadmap.
Yeah. What is your overarching like roadmap for the year type of thing? That is your macro cycle, right? So it's usually 6 to 12 months, y'all. Like for hypertrophy, a macro cycle might focus on adding size throughout the year. Simple as that. So James started this by saying, hey, it's winter. A lot of us are bulking, right? So that's a big macro cycle. Like you planned this 6 month or 1 year bulk. I think it was even last week, we had a few subscribers saying, hey, like, how do you do sustained bulks, right? So again, that's a big macro cycle that you have specifically planned out for your year. All right. So then inside of that, you have your mesocycles. So these are smaller, right? They're a lot smaller than your macro cycle. You know, they might be 4 to 6 weeks. You hear James say a lot, like, definitely don't change your cycle less than 8 weeks if you're new to it. So that's a mesocycle, basically. They can have specific focuses. So maybe you're like, hey, I want to increase training volume, or hey, I've got a weak muscle group. Just this morning, you were training a client and you were having to do a lot of one leg things. I don't know if you want to talk about that. Like that's a mesocycle.
Yeah, he's got a weak leg, so we're going to work on the weak side for a couple weeks. And I see whoever's hitting those hearts, keep it up. Yeah. Appreciate it. Yeah, we're going to work on that weak leg for at least 8 weeks and then see how it compares, see if it caught up, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to give it a rest after that. But if it doesn't catch up after about 4 weeks off, we're going to go ahead and attack it again until it catches up to the right leg.
Right. And just yesterday, we had some of our competitors at a posing clinic. One of my clients has a weak left lat. Like I could tell that it's smaller than the right side. So she's going to go into a mesocycle for about 8 weeks where I'm going to add additional volume in on the weak side to try to get her to be a little more symmetrical.
Yeah.
And you know, guys, people don't really go around being like, I'm doing an 8-week mesocycle. Like I don't talk to my clients that way. Like we learn about it when we're getting trained to be trainers and all of that, and it's there. But when we work with people, we really don't talk about it. It's transparent.
No.
And then lower than that is your microcycle. So this is on the day-to-day programming, like what actually is going to happen. So people pretty much only plan this a week or two out of what they're going to do over the next couple of weeks, because you kind of have to see how things are going and adapt that on the daily. So 3 cycles within the bigger plan: your macro cycle, your mesocycle, and your microcycles. So hopefully that made sense.
Man, so traditionally, back in the day, periodization was basically you're going to take a week where you do light weights. It's only instead of taking a week off, you come in and do the light weights and pump, right? But there's so much more to periodization than that. Matter of fact, that's kind of just a waste.
So would you
wouldn't even do that for periodization.
Would you consider that what's called the deload week?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. So a lot of like traditional training for periodization will factor in a deload week.
Yep.
It's supposedly to allow recovery and prevent overtraining.
Right. So let's pause. If you're going to recover, just rest. Don't deload at all. Just rest. You're going in there and doing junk volume.
Right.
You are burning calories, but you're not making muscles. So
Right.
just rest and recover. If you need it, just rest and recover. Don't worry about a deload.
Yeah, so that's probably where James and I kind of depart from the traditional NASM training on periodization, because we don't specifically factor in a deload week. Like, I don't look at a calendar and say, okay, this week right here, this is it. I'm just gonna go do like super light weights, nothing heavy, high volume. Like that just that conversation never happens for us.
Yes, and you always have to be flexible with your periodization. So to me, I say stick with a program for 8 weeks. However, if you're continuing progressively overload,
like keep going a little longer.
Let's keep going, right?
Don't stop.
Go to your plateau. You know, it's not realistic to say you're going to progressively overload every exercise every time for the rest of your life. Eventually, you're going to hit a plateau. So you got a couple of options there. One is to periodization.
Right.
Go ahead, chalk it up, get a whole new program. And I would highly recommend that. Matter of fact, if you're plateaued on all your exercises, it's definitely time to change it up.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about anything crazy. You just change from flat bench to incline bench. It is that easy. Or change the order of your exercises.
Exactly.
You could even do the same exercises, just change the order. That's periodization as well.
Yeah. In terms of deload week, another reason James and I don't take like structured ones is a lot of times we go on vacations. Like I would say at least maybe once a quarter, we're probably going away somewhere for a couple days. And we definitely have usually 2 big trips a year where we are just gone for a week. So it's usually during that time that James and I either won't work out or we're doing like a hotel gym, and we are kind of doing like higher volume light weights because we don't have big heavy dumbbells and things. So it's kind of like this forced deload week, but it's really just we're on vacation. We're going to take that time to enjoy ourselves and not worry about training. Yeah. So that's one way to think about it as well.
Tina's on. What's up,
hey,
Tina?
Welcome
back. She says, hey guys, how many days a week do you train? Because you guys have me looking into my converter.
I don't know. Yeah, which I'm loving.
But has very big lots of days off. I think that's supposed to be calendar. Yeah.
So Tina, I used to be like, hey, I'm doing 6 days a week. I don't care if I'm sore, I'm working out. I have changed that. Like I pretty much do only 3 to 4 actual hypertrophy lifting sessions a week. The rest are rest days. So
yeah, I'm about 3 to 4 weight days and probably 3 cardio days, but I don't do more than a half-hour cardio.
Yeah.
So I'm in the gym 6 days a week, but lifting 3 to 4.
Yeah, and it's a hard transition going from a 5 or 6 day program to being like, yeah, you know, I'm just gonna work out when I feel like I'm ready to work out.
Yeah, I think we're missing some comments here too. Because it's jumping around. Unfortunately, it does that sometimes. So if we're not making sense, we missed one of your comments, and we apologize. Elaine says about when you start your workout and don't feel strong. See, I think we missed the first part of that. But Elaine, best thing I can tell you is pre-workout, baby. Once that pre-workout kicks in, I feel pretty strong.
I mean, and Elaine, we've talked about this before on the channel. Like James and I keep log books. So we know what we did last time. So we try not, because I mean, if I went based on how I feel each day, like I would never progressive overload, right? Because I'd be like, well, I'm tired today, or, you know, I didn't get good sleep, or I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. So I try to look back at that log book and say, all right, how many reps? What weight did I do? Okay, I at least got to get that or more, right? Because I don't want to go backwards.
Good point. It's not about how you feel, brother. It's how you feel is subjective. Right. So you got to make it objective, which is your logbook. So I don't care if you feel how you feel, you get in your logbook and you do your weights and you do your reps. Your feelings, check them at the door.
Now, Elaine, everybody has one of those days where they get to the gym and it's just like, whoa, like something's way off. James will tell you, like, he'll just come home and he'll say, you know what? I intended to train biceps. I'm either too sore, something's not right. Like, I'm going to chalk it up and rest today so I can go and hit it tomorrow the way I'm supposed to.
Yeah, that's happened a few times, actually, where I'm sore and I don't realize I'm sore until I start my first set. And I go, oh, I'm not recovered. Going home.
Yeah.
I'm going to recover before I hit it again. If you work a sore muscle, you're making a big mistake, y'all.
Right.
Let that muscle recover and then hit it again. So I have gone to the gym 3 days after a back workout to do biceps and get in a preacher curl for the first set and go, oh, nope, we're going to have to come back tomorrow.
But that's why I don't like deload weeks. I'm like, how do you schedule a deload week? Like, you can't really. I mean, I kind of get big power lifters that are doing like big nasty lifts and strength programs. Like, all right, maybe you need to give your body a week off from like thrashing it. But we're talking about hypertrophy. We're not talking about strength programs necessarily right now. So, yeah.
All right. And Native Grit's got an idea.
All right, let's hear it.
He says, how about a new part of your channel once a week called Hey 88? This is where a person can video a question to you on Messenger and you show the person's video and answer it. I love it.
I love that. We'll have to see if you can actually do that.
Yeah, the problem is we're going to have to use 2 different social media outlets. So you can't leave us a video on YouTube.
But you can on Instagram and you can on Facebook, y'all. And we have all of them. We don't have a TikTok, which is banned for anyone that's not tracking. But we definitely have Instagram and we definitely have Facebook. And you can do that. And Native Grit, we would love that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
In fact, even if you're like doing something, you're like, hey, something feels off, my form. Hey, drop us a DM. Show us what you're doing. We can talk about it.
Yeah, it would be better yet to see what you're doing. Good idea, Native.
Yeah, I love it.
If you're doing it wrong and you send a video, we can see it and say, oh, this is how you need to tweak it.
Yeah.
You know? And Tina, I think we missed the first part of your comment because we got Mike Menser, not governor, but nothing above that. So
unless that's like Mike Menser or Arnold, since he was the governor. I don't know. Maybe elaborate again on that for us, Tina, because I think something's cut off or we missed something there.
Yeah, unfortunately, we figured out some of our comments don't make it through all the time. So it looks like we missed a few. Unfortunately, I mean, it's on YouTube, really. It's not on us. So.
Yeah, and I do see we have more people watching. So if you have questions unrelated to periodization, fire them away. We'll get them answered for you guys. All right. So yeah, we talked about the different types of cycles within the different kinds of periodization. We talked about our thoughts on deload week. Let's talk about implementing periodization. Like if no one really talks about these terms, like, well, how do they actually build a program for it? So I think one of the most common ways is linear periodization. So, you know, if we were to give you an example, let's start with linear periodization. You know, maybe you would have a 12-week, you know, plan for hypertrophy. So you say for the next 12 weeks, I'm focused on nothing but building muscle, and I'm going to do linear periodization where the volume starts high, the weight's kind of low, and then we're going to drop volume off as we get more intense. So in that case, you know, the first 4 weeks, you would probably have high volume, moderate intensity. So maybe you're doing 12 to 15 reps, 65, 75% of your 1 rep max. And then once you get through those first 4 weeks, you know, weeks 5 through 8, it's more moderate, right? So you got higher intensity, moderate volume. You know, maybe you're doing 8 to 12 reps, but 75 to 85% of your 1 rep max. And now we're finally at week 9 to 12. This is where things get pretty intense. You know, we're doing low volume, high intensity. We're around those, you know, 6 reps, Mike Menser style, high intensity, heavy weights, 85 to 90%, 95% of your 1 rep max. So that's how you would kind of linear step it up to be really, really intense.
Gotcha.
And I see Angel's got a question.
Angel says, talking about changing your training, I started doing pyramids differently.
Nice.
Each set, I only do 5 reps, going up in weight till I can't do the 5 reps. I'm going to try this for 6 weeks. Fantastic.
So Angel, that really sounds like a great strength program. So like if you're trying to bust past like a plateau or a sticking point, like that should help get you there for sure. Like at the end of that, you'll be stronger. And sometimes strength does correlate or tie back to hypertrophy. So that's great, Angel. I love it.
Yeah, fantastic. Big T's on. What's up, T? Welcome back, baby. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, T. And then Native Grit says, my deload week is just barbell complexes for a few days. as if I feel like I need a bit of a break.
Okay. Hey, whatever works, right? Like everyone's so different. Some people native grit might be like, whoa, that's too intense. But hey, I like it for sure. Another thing, well, actually, so another example, let's talk about undulating. So this is where you're kind of alternating between the intensity and the volume. Maybe you're switching it up a little more frequently. So for example, maybe Monday's heavy day. So maybe you're like Angel hitting like 4 to 6 reps, 85, 90% of your 1 rep max. And then by Wednesday, you're like, all right, I'm going to be more moderate. I'm going to do a little more reps, a little less weight. And then by Friday, you're like, okay, we're going to train really light, higher volume, 15, 20 reps, 65, 75%. That's like an undulating example. So it's not week to week now, it's day to day that you're changing the intensity and volume.
The problem with all these is they're pretty complicated, man.
Yeah, unless you're going to like chart it out, it's
going to be extremely complicated, and you're going to have to like really get yourself an Excel spreadsheet and keep track.
Hey, now, if they're nerdy like me, they're like all about it. We had a client, she loved like tracking stuff in spreadsheets and all that. So, hey, I can appreciate that.
So can I, but it doesn't equal gains.
Not necessarily.
Your spreadsheet's not going to get you gains, y'all.
So James and I, about maybe 5 years ago.
So to keep it simple, this is a better way to do it.
Yeah, so about 5 years ago, we did a variation of, was it Neil Hill? Y3T training. Basically, we did 1 week as superset, 1 week as drop set week, and then we did another week as heavy week. And so this is kind of our version of periodization.
We just got a message that says your connection is unstable, which might be the problem with the comments. If we're breaking up, apologize. I don't know why. So we're back on. The message is gone.
Yeah, we're getting some weather through here, y'all. If you're on the East Coast, there's snow, and we live like on an old farm lane. And so anytime the power lines and internet lines get wet, we start getting loss of internet here. So
Elaine says hard to do with a bro split. I'm not sure what that means, Elaine. If you can follow up on that.
Yeah, if you're doing like a 5-6 day a week split, it's hard to like work some of those concepts in.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Very complicated. Okay. Don't need to follow up.
But yeah, so James and I did this Neil Hill variation for years. Like we were trying to go back and remember, like he might have been doing that right up until that pro card win or just shortly thereafter.
Yeah, if y'all remember Flex Lewis and Neil Hill, Flex Lewis was a 212 Olympia forever and probably the best 212 champ there ever was. And Neil Hill put him through the YT3 program.
Y3T.
Allegedly up through his Olympia championships. Yeah,
so the real Y3T training is a 9-week training program, and it's broken up into 3-week microcycles, or the way he describes it, I really would say that they're mesocycles, but okay, microcycles. And you kind of work through the 3 weeks and focus on low reps and compounds, and then later in higher isolation work. So week 1 would be like mostly compound exercises. So native grit would probably like that, performed with like heavy weights and low reps. And then week 2 would be
heavy week.
A mix of heavy compound training and some supplemental like high rep isolation work.
Superset week.
And then week 3 would be almost exclusively isolation work with very high reps, extended sets. And that's where we made drop set week. Yeah. And then we had a 4th week. I don't remember. I think we just did like the traditional bro split and whatever we wanted that week or something.
I don't remember the full week.
But yeah, Y3T is a variation of periodization, and we liked it because we weren't trying to go heavy all the time because that would beat up our joint. So we knew that like, hey, if I only got to go heavy one time out of the month, 1 week out of the month, like I'm going to give it my all.
Yeah.
And that's what we would do. Like, it was great.
We also dropped down to 1 drop set instead of 3. Because if you're doing 3, you're not giving it all you got. You're leaving a little bit in the tank for the next 2 sets.
That's a good point.
But if you're doing 1 drop set, you give it all you got.
If you're interested in doing the, Camille and James version, let us know. We'll tell you how we did it for sure.
And it is a variation of Neil Hill. I got it from Neil Hill, so
for sure.
I gotta give him credit.
I think James called it like the J3T or something like that.
It probably was, but again, thank you, Neil Hill.
Yes.
I stole your stuff. I just modified it a little bit.
Terrence got a question for us. How often should workouts be changed up after you feel you've hit a plateau?
Great question, Big T. Great question, baby. I would give it at least 8 weeks. But if you're not plateaued at 8, keep going until you plateau.
Right.
So it might be 8 weeks and it'd be 12 weeks. If you're still making gains and progressively overloading and adding a rep or a weight, keep going.
Yeah, keep going, especially if it feels good. But Terrence, that is like one of the common mistakes, which brings me to like our next section. Staying in one phase for too long is what leads to stagnation.
And here's what I'm going to say. If you're plateaued for 2 weeks straight,
something's wrong.
Now you need to change something up. If every exercise is plateaued for 2 weeks straight, time to change.
I mean, and that's another mistake, is just not listening to your body and taking those, I'll call them deload weeks, but remember what I said, just rest days when you need them to recover. I just had a coworker ask me like, hey, I'm feeling beat up all the time on my split. Like, how many rest days should I be taking? I'm like, as many as needed, dude. Like, take those rest days and put them in. I understand it's hard. You feel like you're not making gains because you're not in the gym lifting. But remember, like, muscle is made outside the gym. Like, you applied the stimulus, and now you need to recover if you're going to build those muscles bigger and stronger.
There's a quote from Winning Strength that I will never forget. You're only as good as what you recover from. If you don't recover from it, you didn't do it. You didn't let it happen, right? Nave Grit says, I forgot I bought a set of 100-pound plates last week. Yes! My man, I love it. They're 106.6 each. You got bonus 6.6.
So Native Grit, I am not a fan of the 100-pound plates. Like, James had this set of them in his mother's basement for years. And he finally just brought them to our studio. And I'm like, who's going to play with these? Like, I don't think we've used them once.
I've used them.
All right, well.
I've used them. The girls have a problem picking them up and put them on the bar. That's why they don't like them.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm picking them up, maybe someone's doing like a hip thrust on a Smith and I don't have to pull it up overhead, fair enough. But yeah, I was surprised I could even pick it up at all, honestly.
Yeah. All right, we missed one. Angel says, not to get off subject, but what's a good way to start losing lower back fat?
That is a good question, Angel, and that is a stubborn area on so many people.
Man, it's getting hot in here. So, Angel, you can't spot lose fat. And unfortunately, you're probably like me. That's the last place.
Yep, those love handles.
Yeah. I can literally have a 6-pack in the front and still have a chunk of butter back here in my back here, right?
He's not wrong. For him, definitely.
It's unfortunate. You can't spot lose it. And usually that's the last place it goes, my man.
Yeah. So, Angel, I would say the best way to start losing fat in general is just caloric deficit.
Yep. Cut your calories.
All right. I see we have a question.
Jethro.
Hi, Jethro.
How are you?
We're
doing great, brother. Thanks for tuning in. Should I take creatine every time I work out? Yes, you should, sir. You should take it every day. Even if you're not working out, you should take creatine every single day. It needs to stay in your system. So
no need to cycle off.
And no need to cycle off. So as long as you take it every single day, even off days, you're good to go.
Yeah, it's the most studied supplement out there, Jethro. So there's no risk of renal failure or complications. Nothing to do with losing your hair or baldness, kidney, there's nothing there unless you have some kind of pre-existing issue. Correct.
They have yet to find a negative side effect for creatine. So load it up. Make sure you take it every single day. All right, one more. Random D. I
love
really
the
learned a
name.
lot from your videos. Thanks. You're very welcome, Random D. Thanks for the comment. We appreciate it, brother. That's why we're here. We're here to help you. We're both very passionate
Right.
about this sport, and we love to share it.
Yeah, in fact, if you have questions or content you want filmed, just drop us a comment on any video in here. Like, we much prefer filming content for you guys.
Yeah.
Like, I think was it Angel that asked for the over 50 series that you're filming now?
Michael.
Oh, Michael did. Yeah, but we film content for you guys all the time.
Yes.
So
we prefer to film it for you. This is why we're doing this. We're trying to give back.
Right. All right, let's jump back to other common mistakes with periodization.
All right.
One of the biggest ones is not tracking, y'all. So not tracking your progress, not knowing, how to adjust your weights. How do you know if you're not keeping track?
And this is why those linear, undulate, that's why they're going to be so complicated.
Right.
Especially if you're doing it through the week, you're lowering your volume and upping your weight. I mean, like I said, you better have 2 Excel sheets and bring them into the gym and track every single thing. That's going to be complicated.
I mean, that's why people don't walk around saying, well, I'm doing an undulating mesocycle right now. Like, dude.
So to me, that's, that pretty much is just overcomplicating things. The best periodization, I think, is to just change your workout when you plateau, or take a modified Neil Hill Y23 workout and do heavy week, superset week, drop set week. You can still track easily. You can still progressively overload very easily. You don't need 2 Excel sheets and spreading them and putting them together and overcomplicating things, right?
For sure.
It's periodization,
Yeah, in terms of best tools for tracking, like good old-fashioned notebook and pen and paper.
I mean, most people use their phones today, but you
can still you can type it right into the note section. There are some apps that can help you. I mean, whatever works best for you. I basically like having it in my phone. That way I always have it no matter what gym I'm training at. I'll even say what gym. Like right now I'm doing a program and I'll say, hey, worked out at Planet Fitness, use the Matrix machine, because every machine's like kind of different.
Thank you.
So if I use like a row machine at Planet Fitness and then I went to like our house and use the Hammersmith row machine, it's going to be different. So you need to know what machine you use. So
we have a cable machine here at 88 Gym. I could stack it for tricep press downs. When I go to Planet Fitness or on post, I'm not stacking for tricep press downs. Trust me on that. So write down where you're at, because the weights are going to be different, especially if you're using cables.
How
different pulley systems are going to be different weights.
For sure.
All right, Jethro says, thank you, God bless. Very welcome, Jethro. Commando Slayer's on. What's up, Commando? Hot or cold showers after workout, which is better? Cold. Without a doubt, bro.
Right.
Hot usually causes inflammation.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Hot feels good, but it causes inflammation. So it's actually double whammy worse.
Yeah, remember that, y'all. So if you pull a muscle or something, don't go grabbing the heating pad. Grab the ice pack.
Ice.
Yeah.
The ice and the cold does not feel good, but it's anti-inflammatory.
Yeah. So in terms of when to adjust, if you start to see in your logbook or tracking app that your progress is stalling, then you really need to think about doing what James said, either swapping the exercise out, swapping, the intensity kind of volume schema that you have going on. Or, maybe if you're just feeling fatigued, it's overtraining. This happens to me a lot. I'll be like, James, I'm not hitting my numbers. And he's like, well, are you overtrained? And you start to have to look at other factors. I start thinking, well, how have I slept the last couple of days? Oh, like crap? Okay, well, that might be a good sign that I'm actually overtrained and I need to take a couple days off.
Yes, and you gotta, I said check your feelings at the door, but if you are beat up, you know you're beat up, go recover.
Yeah, don't just push it to push it. That's when injuries kind of creep in there.
And you're not going to give 100% when you're sore. When you're fatigued, when you're beat up, you're not able to give 100%.
Right.
So go home, rest, and come back and give 100%.
Yeah. So I know we taught you guys a lot about the different periodization styles, cycles within those styles, and all of that. But at the end of the day, like, James and I prefer more holistic adaptation to that cycle, right? Like formal periodization is great, but you got to be realistic. That's not very realistic to go out there and track the way it's taught.
Like you said, you get a calendar out and say, okay, I'm going to deload this week. What? Where did you get that from? Unless you have a powerlifting meet scheduled right here and you're going to deload the week after that, you can't schedule a deload week. You might be still making progress. You haven't plateaued yet.
Right.
But no, I'm going to stop because I planned a deload week right here. No, don't do that.
Yeah, we really believe in listening to your body and adapting based on how you're feeling, how you're performing, how you're recovering. And it just allows for better flexibility while still driving to progress. And I see we have a question, Native Grit. He wants to know what's in your shaker today.
But first, Danique Wilson says, hey, y'all, just wanted to say love the channel. Can't wait to see you this year. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, Danique. I hope you're still out there getting those gains, getting ready for that next show. I was definitely thinking about you because we just started figure posing for the girls. And I was like, I wonder if Danique wants to stop by. So they would definitely love to see you if you want to pop in.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Native Grit, I got the shaker, baby. I just finished it. See, it's empty. It was my EAAs and what was left of my pre-workout. So
let's talk about that shaker for a second, guys.
Oh, no.
Camille has this pet peeve. I don't know why it grinds my gears, but when he's over here going with his shaker, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. So yeah, so he tries to like swirl it in the corner. I'm like, I still hear it, buddy. I still hear it.
Camille's very nice and has very few pet peeves, y'all. And if this is it, I can deal with it.
I don't know what it is about it, but it's just something about it.
Random D says, I follow 5-day split, so biceps get hit 4 times, like directly on chest and arms day, indirectly on 2 back days. I do back with triceps. Am I overtraining them? Start lifting 7 months ago.
I mean, I guess the question for you that I have, Random D, is are you adding reps and weights every time that you're training biceps? If not, then you're probably overtraining them.
Yeah, and don't count your indirect days, brother. Only count your direct days.
Right.
Indirectly, we're all hitting everything all the time.
Very good point.
So only count the days where you're actually training biceps as hitting biceps.
I mean, the good thing about arms is they're pretty resilient. Like they recover pretty fast. Shoulders recover pretty fast. It's usually like the big muscle groups, back, chest, legs that are really slow to recover. So usually some of those smaller muscle groups you can train more than, once. But if you're not progressing by adding reps or weight, you might want to take a look at it for sure.
And make sure you got a leg day in there, brother. I don't see shoulders or legs in your split. I'm assuming you're doing them, so make sure you are doing legs and shoulders in there as well. Angel says, I tried the cable dips from your video. I got a crazy tricep pump. Thanks for showing me the exercise. Outstanding, Angel. Outstanding. Yeah. I love it, baby. I actually supersetted regular dips with those cable dips.
Ooh, that's nasty.
The whole upper body was smoke pumped. It was crazy. I love it. I'm gonna do it again.
Do you remember what video those are in so others can go and find it and watch it?
It's a short.
Okay.
It just dropped this week.
Very nice.
Cable dips is what I believe. What the heck are cable dips is the title. So it's in our shorts. If you want to check out what a cable dip is, thank you, Angel, for trying it, my man, and letting us know it's great.
So in terms of like what a more holistic training cycle looks like, hey, if I'm feeling strong, I'm going to push for heavier lifts that day. I'm going to keep it going. I'm going to push the envelope. If I'm feeling fatigued, I might dial it back. But again, I'm looking at the book, right? I have to hold myself accountable. I can't just go in based on emotions. But, there is some flexibility in there depending on how you're feeling, how you're performing.
If y'all were around in the 90s, this thing came out called instinctive training. It got pretty popular for a second. So instead of having a plan, you just went to the gym and did what you felt like doing. Instinctive training. It was growing pretty big until Dorian Yates said, listen, guys, there's no such thing as instinctive training. Instinctively, I want to go to the bar and have a few beers. That's how you feel. You know what I mean?
Right.
Stick to your program. If it's leg day, do leg day. Even if you feel like doing arms. If you're on leg day, do your leg day.
Agree.
So instinctive training kind of it was popular for a second, but got smoked as soon as Dorian came out and said that.
Danique, are you actually competing in the Conquer in May?
Yeah!
I hope you are. We have like 6 athletes getting ready for the OCB Conquer Mother's Day weekend in May. So that would be super awesome if you are.
Yeah, didn't she win last time?
Yeah, Danique's like, a smidge away from getting that OCB Pro card.
Pro card, baby. Come on, Conquer. Let's get that
right.
Pro card, Danique.
So yeah, keep your training fresh, y'all. Don't get stagnant. Prevent burnout by taking rest when you need it, and just teach yourself to be in tune with your body. It's we're not saying throw out structure. You definitely need structure. You need that overarching macro cycle, the roadmap. Yeah. But underneath that, be willing to be flexible and change things when you get stuck.
Part of the burnout would be doing the same program for 10 weeks.
Yeah.
It gets boring. I'm doing the same exact program, It gets a little bit dry, it gets a little bit boring. I go in, I have first exercise is bench press. I want to throw up because I've been doing this forever, right? If you get to that point, go ahead and change it up.
Yeah, I like it. Like I was dropping shorts for a while, like showing me progressive overload chest press and overhead shoulder. Like it was a challenge. Like I was going into the gym like, yeah, I'm going to crush that goal in PR today. So
as long as I am progressively overloading, it's great. But plateaued,
it's no fun.
It's not a good feeling. And when you go in there for 2 weeks straight and you plateaued for 2 weeks straight, believe me, you're going to get frustrated.
For sure. But don't.
Yeah, right. Don't get frustrated. Just realize it's time to change things. Periodization. That's when you change it up.
In fact, we have an entire video series that's called like Busting the Plateau. And for every muscle group, we show you what the best exercises are for the most popular exercises and how you can like punch past wherever you're stuck. So
intensifying techniques to get by them. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's also the intensifying techniques. So yeah, just to wrap things up for you guys, periodization kind of provides you with the structure and the progression to continue achieving those hypertrophy goals. So you can use those macrocycles, mesocycles, micro. People probably aren't going to go around calling it that, but that is what it is. So hopefully we taught you guys something today. And experiment with the linear and the undulating. Try the Neil Hill Y3T. Why not? Like be willing to try new things and see how your body responds.
Yep. Just keep it simple, y'all. Don't. A lot of science guys out there like to complicate this thing, but look at their physiques. How do their physiques look? People have been building muscle for hundreds of years now, really.
Right.
They know how to do it. It's hard work. I don't care what kind of science you throw in there. If you don't have hard work behind it, you're not getting there.
All right. Elaine says you try old school baking soda under the tongue.
Elaine, you've been around for a while. I can tell that from this question. No, I have not tried it, but I have heard it. It's been around forever. So baking soda is supposed to keep your lactic acid down. So the burn you get, 54, I knew it, baby. So the burn you get, the baking soda is supposed to help stave that, keep it off so you can get more rest, less burn.
Like how often were you supposed to do that? Like
every day.
Every day. Interesting.
And, believe it or not, baking soda has other benefits as well. I've just never done it before. And I can't tell you what the benefits are, but I know there are more benefits than just lowering lactic acid to taking baking soda.
You can tell I'm younger because I'm like, what? Baking soda under the tongue? Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I really haven't heard of baking soda since the 90s, so I knew you've been around for a little bit, Elaine, with that question. But to answer your question, I have not tried it. If anybody on here has,
I want to hear about it.
Yeah. But there are studies showing it keeps the lactic acid so you can extend your set a little bit longer without that excruciating burn.
Now all the people watching are going to be like eating baking soda next week while going to work out.
All right. Native Grit said, what's your thoughts on single? I've been doing 12 singles in 10 minutes at 85% 1 rep max. Interesting. What do I think of singles? I think if you're a power lifter, singles are great. I think for hypertrophy, singles aren't that great unless you're supersetting with them.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen James do one bench press, all out heavy, kind of like you described native grit, and then he'll superset with like dumbbells or something else. So he's still getting the volume he needs for hypertrophy. Because remember, if you're trying to grow, there is like a base volume that you have to hit in the training set.
Yeah, so I mean, in general, this is extremely general.
Mm-hmm.
Strength is 1 to 5 reps, hypertrophy 6 to 12.
Sure.
So if you're not getting that at least 6 reps in, you're working on strength more than you're working on hypertrophy.
Yeah.
Elaine said, I've tried the baking soda and it works.
I'm going to have to try it, Elaine.
I mean, that's good. And it's a cheap supplement. So if it works.
Hey, awesome.
That's probably why you don't really hear about it, because there's no company promoting baking soda to try to sell it to you. It's just in the grocery store as an everyday product, right?
Love that. All right, y'all. Well, thanks for tuning in to today's live session.
Yes, appreciate all the questions. This is great.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Commando Slayer, Danique, Native Grit, Random D, Angel,
Elaine, Terrence,
Kylie, Tina. We
Fantastic.
appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and definitely hit that super thanks if you really loved the content here today. And we're here every Sunday, so we will definitely see you next Sunday at 12 Eastern. In fact, we're going to be talking about the mind-muscle connection next week.
Ooh.
And unlocking better muscle activation.
That's going to be a good
So it's going to be a good topic, y'all. So definitely tune in next week. All right. Until next time. Bye, y'all. Camille and James.